Oh, you hear me? Great. Thanks to be here. So because of the title of the presentation, I definitely owe you a no bullshit presentation. I'm going to try to make it. So I'm Johan Weisz, I'm from Paris. I'm the founder of streetpress.com. It's an online magazine for young adults in Paris and the suburbs. We have 500,000 readers per month on the website. And yes, I know that your time is precious. You came to Poland. I cannot waste your time here. So I will only say stuff you disagree with. And to tell you the truth, I'm really fed up with the concept of media education. At Street Press, we do not do media education. We do simple journalism. We call it no bullshit journalism, and I'm going to try to explain how this simple journalism is more efficient than media education in building a democracy. My story. I'm a journalist. I've been working in the Middle East. I've been working in France. I'm specialized in political and religious extremist groups. That's my field of investigation. I started to work as a journalist when I was 19 years old. And I was a young journalist with a small press card, and I went on the ground doing my reports, making interviews, asking questions to people on the ground. And all the time, people looked at me and said, okay, you want our answers, but you're nice, you're young. We answer to your questions, but truly, we know that you will write the opposite in your newspaper, that you will write bullshit on us. And that's the point. The citizens and the young people do not trust the mass media. And truly, in 2015 in France, 79% of young adults just had no trust in the content delivered by mass media in France. Let's say, most of people say media are really a necessity for democracy. But we should say that media without the trust of the citizens are useless. You write a story, no one trusts you, it's useless. In France, you know what's the average age of the TV Channel 1 viewer? It's 51 years old. If you take the newspaper Le Figaro, it's 60 years old. So now, you take the newspaper that is dedicated to a 60 years old person, and you give it in the hands of a 20 years old young person. What's the point? What the young person will think about this newspaper? He's gonna think that it's useless. This newspaper, Le Figaro, means nothing when you put it in the hands of a 20 years old young people. Why? First, young people are really tired with old-fashioned media who tell you what you have to think, who are the good people, who are the bad people. And in those old-fashioned media, generally the young people are the bad people. We speak about young people in the mass media only when there are problems. And third, in the old-fashioned media, let's say that the young people don't see the life, their reality. It's not their questions that are asked in those newspapers, in those old-fashioned media. So my point is that it's not the young people who lost interest in those old-fashioned media. It's the old-fashioned media who lost interest in the new generation. And hopefully, we have good news. The first good news is that thanks to all those mobile devices and the digital devices, the new generation is the generation that is reading the most. If you compare the time of reading between the previous generation and the new generation is reading a lot and more than the other people. So the point is that if we try to do what we call no bullshit journalism, maybe there is an option, a solution. But your point is, what is no bullshit journalism? I'm going to give you a first example. In France, in Paris, in January, we had the terror attacks, the Charlie Hebdo attacks. You had let's say, a big panic in France, and you had, let's say, 3 hours after the terror attacks, you had the mass media who got police sources that gave them 3 names. 3 names of suspected terrorists who did the Charlie Hebdo attacks. 2 brothers and 1 17-year-old school student. He was called Murad Hamid, and he was one of the 3 most searched people in France. His name was screened on any TV channel every minute. And in the meantime, in a public sources that is called Twitter that anyone can access, you had the friends of Murad Hamid, the friends from school, who were tweeting, and they were saying, hey guys, what we see on TV is a hoax. Murad was with us at school this morning. He could not be at Charlie Hebdo newspaper doing an attack. But no one cared. Till a street press journalist on Twitter got the news, fact-checked the news, and published a story. It was called The Crazy Day of Murad Hamid. What we did, we just investigated. It's simple journalism. It's not repeating the stream of the media, repeating always the same thing. On that week, for our coverage of the Charlie Hebdo attacks, we had 1 million readers on the website. I need to give you a definition of what we call no bullshit journalism. It's 2 basic things. First thing is you got to be loyal to your readership, to your readers. It means investigate the reality they're living in. If they're using Twitter, use Twitter. Ask the question they ask themselves. And second, strive to make this significant, interesting, and relevant. Use, let's say, sharp angles. Ask questions they want you to ask. Use their words to catch the audience. And use simple words, use what we call cash phrases or something. I give you another example. A few weeks later, we had soldiers everywhere in Paris. I mean, just in front of every synagogue you had soldiers. You had soldiers in front of any newspapers. We're a newspaper, and just next to our building there is a synagogue, so we have many soldiers. And you have also soldiers to protect the important monuments in Paris. And so we did our job, and we asked a question every citizen asked themselves. The question was, are we well protected? And we took one example, is the Eiffel Tower well protected? That was a simple question. Everyone had this question, but no journalist asked that question, is the Eiffel Tower well protected? So we investigated during 3 weeks, and we used this very simple title that was, how to blow up the Eiffel Tower. And the answer is in the article, which means it's not easy to do it, but if you want it, you can do it. And yeah, I don't tell you how many lawyers I had calling me just the minute the article was published, but never mind. Just to sum up, at Street Press, we are in a process of news making that is involving the citizens in creating the news. I explain. We got editorial committees, anyone can come, the readers can come. The idea is that if you got an idea of report you want to do, you're going to become a volunteer reporter, we call them a street reporter, and you're going to be coached by professional journalists from the website to write your story. We have many street reporters who come to the website. Since 2009, we had 1,200 street reporters who contributed to streetpress.com. And we have 60 young adults who were trained during 15 weeks in producing content. I say producing content because when they are trained to do articles. And it's not media education, it's training and coaching the new content producers for Street Press, and afterwards they might work for Al Jazeera, for instance. That is the first step. The second step is how can we give the keys of creating new media? The point was young adults do not recognize themselves in old-fashioned media. So we have to build an ecosystem, a system where you got different media that are talking to this part of the population. So basically what we decided to do, and we're launching this program in June next month, we're creating a media incubator. So it's going to be very simple. You got a project. It has to be for mobile devices. It has to target an audience that has a real social need in such a media. And we're going to coach you as an incubator to create it. And just can say, please, be welcome. That's it.